With personalized care plans and one-on-one sessions, a large indoor pool with state-of-the-art aquatic therapy, and much more. Help is on the way at Grace Rehab.
For community events, church news on 1450 WLAF, brought to you by Walters Funeral Home. Our family serving your family with dignity and caring service.
Hi, this is Brent McNeely with Walters Funeral Home in La Follette. For nearly 65 years, you have trusted the Walters and McNeely names to serve your loved ones. It all began with Mr. Wheeler Walters' vision in 1955 in a storefront in downtown La Follette to give families the highest quality service. A few years later, my granddad, Clyde McNeely, and my dad, Charles McNeely, came to join Mr. Walters. My mother, Debbie McNeely, and I have a combined 50-plus years as licensed funeral directors, and we are committed to carrying on that great tradition of high-quality service. We invite you to give us a call at 423-562-2424. That's 423-562-2424. Or stop by and visit us at 509 East Central Avenue in La Follette. Walters Funeral Home, where we remain, our family serving your family with dignity and caring service.
Reverend Bill Wilson and the congregation at the Indian Creek Baptist Church welcome you to worship with them Sunday mornings at 11 a.m. with a parking lot service. That's at Indian Creek Baptist Church. All in-person services at Davis Chapel Community Baptist Church have been suspended until the threat of the virus has passed. Sunday and Wednesday night messages can be viewed on the church's Facebook account. Church pastor is Brother Greg Miller. All services have been canceled at West La Follette Baptist Church through April the 8th.
This is David Seals, pastor at Viceper Baptist Church. We are having drive-in church at 11 o'clock Sunday morning. Come in with your car, roll your windows down, and let's worship together. Everybody is welcome.
Hello out there in Radio Land. This is Evangelist Brother Kenny Gillum coming to you on an announcement about the Campbell County Preachers Fellowship monthly service coming up in April. Campbell County Preachers monthly service that was scheduled to be held at Fundamental Missionary Baptist Church Monday, April the 6th, has been canceled.
It's a little bit different because
FTV 12 right here on 1450 W.
Different because this afternoon at meeting the coronavirus 5:30.
A special message from customers in 70 business to searches will continue. ATM remain available. Appointment. Please call CT. There you will hours. 8 to use internet banks. Other to keep hours brought to you by Community Traver FDIC. Equal House.
Computer problems. ComputerCareRepairs.com. 808-568-008.
Mother Earth Dodge gift certificate done.
At Grace, we work with offices that range from
Is really helpful.
They've been
we want to
bold and Cajun filet. They make it for the commercial air this Friday. Drive-throughs open.
Video and TV differently than usual. We're going to get to your white estate coming up at 5:18, all right here for the hour beginning ULAF.
Tires again. We do all Campbell County. JR's tire phone number is Friday. See, 8 check.
United Cumberland Bank during times of enjoy exactly. We also UCB, as you know,
the outdoor
the demands of machines that are built for cut the pros
outdoor equipment. TV news for this Monday 6/3 as 2 people were arrested twice on Avenue of Carroll. He's a for you ending radio and TV
here on 1450. It's time for news from WLWL.
A little but this afternoon at 5:30 we have Paul Mears.
This is lobbies that even close a bit through of our boxes at our Community Trust branch. Functional messages, banking, bills, and community to you by Lender.
423 Computer.
Mother Earth 4289.
Optimum therapy.
This rehab really helped a lot.
Help to me.
We want to help you.
It's for just $5. It's both.
Our format today, just TV news. We invite coming up at 5. Senator Ken turning information virus for a call here on W. And also
JR's tires again. We've got 5 mechanics here. We're the oldest 20 Saturday. This is JR Follette, Tennessee. Also have a prices. We thank
was how important customers. Continued. Our lobby will be completed for customers. A mobile app, Cumberland Bank.
Quality
hands of Sears.
Cadet. Time for the arrest report 6-5. Her charges, Pealia and Cherry Street.
It's time for news from WLAF TV.
He's got white toes, and he's got a little pink spot on his nose. He's anxious to bow. If anybody's found him, please call 423-201-9677. 201-9677.
Caryville Mayor Bobby Stooksbury wants you to know that the April regular monthly meeting of the Caryville Mayor and Board of Aldermen is canceled. Here's a note from the city of La Follette. The coronavirus has forced the cancellation of the city of La Follette's Easter egg hunt. It's also forced the cancellation of the official opening of the Dogwood Trail in La Follette.
My husband lost his billfold, Frank Collinsworth Jr., and it probably could have been at Big O's or down at the Big Creek Market. We would love to have it back with his important papers and stuff in it, and there is a reward for the return of it, and the number to call is 562-6090. 562-6090. Sure appreciate it.
Here's a traffic note involving I-75 in Campbell County. Through at least April 25th, I-75 will be down to one lane at mile marker 160 at Jellicoe.
Good morning. This is L.J. Saber, manager of the downtown flea market.
Yes, sir.
And I was advised by City Administrator Jimmy Jeffers to close the flea market until further notice.
All right. Well,
thank you.
Get your pen and paper. We have a telephone number to pass along. In response to the national health emergency of COVID-19, the coronavirus, the Tennessee Department of Health has established an information line. The phone line, 865-549-5343, is open to area health providers as well as residents of Tennessee. The phone line is open Monday through Fridays, 8 a.m. until 4:30 p.m. It is an information line, not a medical resource. And the number again, 865-549-5343. 865-549-5343.
This is the Lost Dog radio station.
Out here at 144 Andy Bear Drive, our little dog got out and run off, but he just kept running. We can't find him nowhere. He's a child's pet. And it's a part bulldog, one of the small type bulldogs, and he's kind of a brindle color. He answers to the name of Tippy. If anybody could find him, there will be a reward for him. We've looked everywhere, and he couldn't have got forward. We think somebody might have picked him up. And it sure would be appreciated if they would call in or let us know. And if anybody sees him, I wish they would call 423-437-8233. It's 423-437-8233. We sure would appreciate it. It's at 144 Andy Bear Drive. Gate got open and he flew.
Is that in Jacksboro?
No, it's out here in La Follette, just above the police station.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much, and we just wish you the best of luck with that.
And he's a baby.
The La Follette Seventh-day Adventist Church welcomes you to a free lunch the last Tuesday of every month, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at its workshop in the Woodson Mall. That's across from the TCAT Cosmetology School.
My name is Glennis Monday. I'm Campbell County Litter Control Officer.
And I'm Litter Grant Coordinator Keisha Howard.
Keisha, just how does people report litter violations to us?
Just call us to report the litter at 562-2526 or 562-8042.
You're listening to my radio station, WLAF.
The Campbell County Christian Women's Connection luncheon scheduled for April the 8th has been canceled.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
1450 WLAF. You tell us, and we'll tell everybody else on the Terry's Pharmacy Bulletin Board. Terry's Pharmacy in La Follette in Jacksboro brings you the bulletin board on 1450 WLAF. It's time for news from WLAF TV 12 right here on 1450 WLAF Radio.
WLAF Radio and TV News for this Monday, April 6th. Our format today is a little bit different because we have a live broadcast to send you beginning at 5:30. In the meantime, we're going to get to your arrest report here on WLAF. But this afternoon at 5:30, we have the live broadcast of Senator Ken Yeager's Teletown Hall meeting. This is a live event that is featuring information about COVID-19, also known as the coronavirus, and it's your chance for you to make phone calls into the program. Again, that comes up live today at 5:30, and we invite you to stay connected right here on WLAF.
This is a special message from Community Trust Bank. Because of our concern for the health and safety of our customers, employees, and communities, Community Trust Bank lobbies at each of our 79 branch offices will be closed until further notice at the close of business Friday, March 20th. We remain dedicated to serving your banking needs. The drive-thru of our branches will continue to be open during regular business hours. The ATM and night deposit boxes at our branches remain available 24 hours a day. If you would like to make an appointment with a loan officer or anyone else at Community Trust, please call your local branch or visit our website, ctbi.com, for our branch phone numbers. There you will also find a list of our branch locations, drive-through hours, ATM locations, and special messages. That's ctbi.com. You can also use internet banking, bill pay, or any of our many convenient online services 24 hours a day. Thank you for your understanding and patience as we work together to keep our families and communities healthy. We deeply appreciate your business. This special message was brought to you by Community Trust Bank, building communities built on trust. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Nothing can slow you down more than computer problems. Computer Care is here to help. Visit their website at computercarerepairs.com. Call 423-562-8008, 562-8008. Computer Care, Woodson's Mall, La Follette.
Mother Earth Massage. Call Mother Earth Massage at 423-201-7689. Gift certificates available. 423-201-7689.
At Grace Rehab, we work with all ages to get you back to your optimum. We utilize a variety of specialized equipment and exercises that range from physical therapy to speech therapy, and even specialized aquatic classes offered daily.
Grace Rehab is the only one that has a pool. It has really helped all of us that have been coming for quite a while.
They've got a great staff here. They've been a huge help to me. When I leave here, I'm in good shape.
Grace Rehab in La Follette. We want to help you feel your best.
It's bow time. When you look at this bold and beautiful Bojangles Cajun Filet biscuit, you might be thinking, did they make it extra special from scratch just for the commercial? Nope. We prepared this fried chicken flavor grenade the exact same way in real life, because that's where you eat it. So go get your actual real hands around a pair of them, because we've got a great deal going. Also in real life, the drive-thru's open and you can get 2 Cajun Filet biscuits for just $5. It's bow time.
WLAF Radio and TV News this afternoon. We're doing our format today just a little bit differently than usual. We're going to get to your arrest report here in just a few moments. We invite you to stay connected for that. 10 names, by the way, to tell you about on today's arrest report, brought to you by BC Bonding. Coming up at 5:30 today, we're going to broadcast Senator Ken Yeager's live Teletown Hall meeting concerning information about COVID-19, also known as the coronavirus. He'll be taking your phone calls, and you can listen in and or call right here for the hour beginning at 5:30 until 6:30 here on WLAF. So stay connected for that, if you will. And also next is the arrest report right here on WLAF.
Well, it's JR at JR's Tires again. Good to talk to the people of Campbell County. We're a full service center. We've got brakes for $89.95. We got alignments for $59.95. We do oil changes for $32.95. We've got some great mechanics here, but we thank everybody in Campbell County for all of the business. We appreciate you. It's more than you realize. You are the one who's made JR's Tires stay in business for 35 years. We're the oldest tire dealer in Campbell County. We have a store in Carroll. Their phone number is 562-2746. They're open Monday through Friday. We're here Monday through Saturday. Our phone number is 566-3945. This is JR at JR's Tires down here in La Follette, Tennessee, 811 Jacksboro Pike. We also have a store down in Caryville on John McGee Boulevard. Check our prices out. We're guaranteed to be the lowest price in Campbell County. We thank you today.
United Cumberland Bank knows how important it is to provide convenient service options to our customers, especially during times of uncertainty. We're working diligently to ensure our customers enjoy exactly that, continued convenient services. As a safety precaution to our customers and staff, our lobby remains open by appointment only, while all other transactions will be completed via our drive-thru. We also remind our customers of our 24-hour banking options, like online banking, the UCB mobile app, and our improved drive-thru ATMs. United Cumberland Bank. We're in this together. Generations of trust, neighbors you know, member FDIC.
Cub Cadet, quality outdoor equipment.
Every bolt, every weld, every inch engineered to exceed the demands of serious landscape professionals. Because respect isn't given, it's earned. Through strength, through reliability, through rigorous testing, we build a full line of machines that are built for performance, for comfort, for cut quality, and most of all, built for business. The Pro Series at your local Cub Cadet dealer.
See Ed, Trina, and the Cub Cadet crew at Indian Mound Circle, Jacksboro. Quality outdoor equipment, your home for Cub Cadet. And welcome back into WLAF Radio and TV News for this Monday, April the 6th. It's time for the arrest report brought to you by BC Bonding. BC Bonding, there for you 24/7 at 423-563-0065. 563-0065. There are 10 arrests to report to you today. However, only 8 names because 2 people were arrested twice over the weekend. We begin with 45-year-old Leslie Susie Anna Burris of West Virginia Avenue in La Follette. Her charges, PI, public intoxication, and possession of drug paraphernalia. 26-year-old Dakota Gage Bussell of Middlesboro, charged with DUI, driving under the influence, possession of drug paraphernalia, and possession of a Schedule II controlled substance, along with the open container law violation. Edward Reese Goins, age 30, of Caryville, charged with possession of Schedule II controlled substance and violation of probation. Jimmy Lee Jenkins, age 49, of La Follette, South 12th Street, for violation of probation. Kenneth James Kuruk, age 22, of West Cherry Street, La Follette, charged on a charge of domestic assault. Dennis Luttrell was arrested twice over the weekend. He's age 48, of Liberty, Kentucky. His first arrest was for PI, public intoxication. The next day he was arrested for aggravated assault by domestic violence. Also on today's list, 42-year-old Michelle May Phillips of Donna Lane, La Follette, DUI, driving under the influence, her second offense, and violation of the implied consent law. Also arrested twice, 38-year-old Jason Craig Whitt of Short Street, La Follette, his first arrest for public intoxication, PI. He was also arrested for public intoxication and disorderly conduct a second time. As always, BC Bonding is there for you at 423-563-0065.
Hall tonight, we're going to be giving you a chance to ask your questions live and to be a part of interactive survey questions. Most importantly, it says we are going to be discussing the COVID-19 virus. Senator Ken Yeager will be joining us in just a moment, but first I want to tell you how you can participate in tonight's call. Simply press 0 at any time if you have a question. Press 0 if you have a question. You'll be placed in a queue, and our operators will then assist you in asking your question to Senator Yeager. Senator Yeager is going to answer as many questions as he possibly can tonight, time permitting. If you do have a question but you'd rather not go live, you can just let your operator know, and we can read the question for you, whatever's most comfortable for you. Again, press 0 at any time if you have a question. You can also press 7 to submit your email address to get the very latest from Senator Yeager's office. So please press 7 and we'll get you added to his list. I'm going to repeat myself as we've just had many friends just join the call. We want to welcome you to this live telephone town hall. We're dialing out to thousands of homes in your area. On this telephone town hall tonight, Senator Ken Yeager is here, along with someone from the health department who are going to be answering your questions, especially about the COVID-19 pandemic. Senator Yeager is going to join us in just a moment, but first I want to tell you how you can participate in tonight's call. Just simply press 0 if you have a question at any time. Press 0, and you can ask your question live to Senator Yeager. He's going to answer as many questions as possible tonight, time permitting. You can also press 7 at any time to get your email address added to our newsletter distribution list. So please press 7 at any time as well. With that, Senator Yeager, we have a great group on the line for you, and we will turn the call over to you for some introductory remarks.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon. This is Senator Ken Yeager, and thank you all for joining our live telephone town hall meeting this afternoon. And our focus, as we have said, is going to be on the COVID-19 outbreak and how we can work together to keep ourselves and our neighbors safe, and how we can help ourselves and our neighbors with the adverse economic impact that some folks have suffered. But first, I'm really pleased to have Laura Connor on the line with us. Laura is a 19-year veteran with the Tennessee Department of Health, and she's also the director of the Roane and Morgan Counties Health Departments. She's going to stay on the line with us today to help answer the questions. Laura, I'll just turn it over to you for 15 or 20 seconds to just introduce yourself and say hello.
Well, thank you so much, Senator Yeager, for the opportunity to participate in this town hall meeting and share information about COVID-19. We know that it's a tumultuous time for everybody, so it's important to get information out. So thank you again.
Thank you, Laura. Well said. And I know that a lot of you who are on the line have many, many questions about it. There's just so much information that's coming out on an hourly basis from the social and the mainstream media. It's difficult to process all that information. And what I want for us to do this afternoon is to make sure that everyone has the information they need to stay safe, but to also understand what state resources may be available to you for those of you who may be suffering from an adverse economic impact. I know we've all had our lives disrupted because of this virus in many ways. We've been dismayed to see parks closed, schools closed, athletic and community events either canceled or postponed, and very seriously, businesses have either shut down or laid off. We've even seen churches cancel their services. We've all been disrupted. We've been disrupted as we are doing our part to stay apart and stop the spread of COVID-19. You know, the CDC guidelines are really quite important. They represent the fundamental tool that we have to combat this epidemic, and that means social distancing. It means personal hygiene, wash your hands, control that cough as well. Those are very, very important that we do these things. But it's at a time like this that the unknowns can be the most scary. So I want to start off in the next 3 minutes to telling you what we do know. I can tell you from my personal knowledge that your state officials are working very closely, 24/7, as a matter of fact, with healthcare community to provide resources and the appropriate testing for those who are suffering or those who think they may have the disease, who may be having the symptoms. You can go to the Department of Health's website to find out where a testing site is, or if you're in an area that doesn't have internet, then you can call your local health department to get that information. I'm really pleased that Governor Lee appointed a unified command to coordinate the response in Tennessee to this pandemic. It's chaired by the Commissioner of Finance and Administration, Stuart McWhorter, and it's composed of the very agencies that are on the front line, the Commissioner of Health, the Director of the Tennessee Emergency Management Agency, and the Adjutant General of the Tennessee Guard. They are working around the clock to identify resources that our healthcare facilities and providers need, and to get those resources to those people. But I also want us to leave this conversation today with some knowledge of that there is help for people who are suffering from the economic side of this. For example, let's talk about unemployment. If you've lost your job or had your hours reduced, then you may qualify for unemployment benefits. And I encourage you to go to the Tennessee Department of Labor and Workforce Development, because they have actually extended unemployment benefits to employees who have found themselves out of work because of this pandemic. With help from the federal government, the weekly benefit is now $875. The Tennessee Department of Labor and Workforce has loosened some of the restriction to make it quicker and easier for you to get online. You can either go online or you can call the department to get a determination of your eligibility and to receive that stipend. The Tennessee Department of Human Resources is offering cash assistance for those who are impacted by the COVID-19 through the state's temporary assistance for needy families. We are providing assistance beginning at $500 for a family of one or two, and there's a scale upwards to for a family of five or more. The maximum would be $1,000 for someone who is qualified because of a loss of a job as a result of the COVID-19. That is in addition to the stimulus payment that was recently adopted by, recommended by President Trump and then adopted by the Congress. We're going to do all we can to protect and support our small business during this time. Many small businesses have had to close or significantly reduce their workforce. There's a really exciting program I hope we'll get to talk a little bit more about with the answers to your questions, called the Paycheck Protection Program. And I wanted to mention it because there's actually been a little confusion about it in the last couple of days. Through the SBA, there is now a program funded by the federal government that will allow small businessmen to apply for a loan to help pay for their payroll, rent, utilities, or mortgage expenses. This, I said it was a loan, but this loan is a forgivable loan designed to help small businesses. If they do what they say they're going to do and use this money to keep people at work, then that loan can be forgiven. The Department of Safety has extended deadlines. If your driver's license, a learning permit, your CDL, or a handgun permit, any of those are up. Those have all been extended 6 months. The Department of Revenue Tennessee Department of Revenue has extended deadlines for tax payments for people who pay the hall income tax, the professional business tax, the professional income tax, business taxes, among others. They've all been extended. And I encourage you to go to the Department of Revenue's website to get more information. So these are just a few of the measures that we've done in Tennessee to mitigate the economic damage from this epidemic, and to ensure that the safety of all of our Tennesseans during these uncertain times will be taken care of, and as we strive to take care of one another. So these are just a few of the things I wanted to open us up with. I want to give you two pieces of information. I'm trying to stay away from a lot of telephone numbers and websites because I know sometimes that's hard to get that down on paper in a hurry, but there. First of all, here's one phone number I want you to have, 615-741-1449. That's my office telephone number, 615-741-1449. If if you're navigating these resources and you run into a problem, you call our office, and we have somebody that'll answer that phone and will help you cut through the red tape to get you the help that you need. And I've mentioned several different state departments, and each one has their own website. But just remember this one website, tn.gov. That's the state's website, tn.gov. You can go to that website and follow the links and get to any one of these departments that I have mentioned in my opening remarks. And again, we want to hear from you. We want you to have information. We want you to get help. And before we get into our questions, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Connor, the director of the health departments in Roane and Morgan counties, for a few brief comments. And what we'll do is we'll take questions, and then when our time runs out, if time permits, I might make a closing remark. Laura?
All right. Well, thank you again. Just wanted to let folks know that your health departments, your medical community, and all your first responders in all of the counties have been really hard at work to address this pandemic, to share information with our community partners and stakeholders so that they can respond appropriately and make good and wise decisions. As you probably know, this coronavirus, also called COVID-19, is a new or a novel virus. Coronaviruses in general are not new. They've been around for a long time. Some of them have been known to cause common colds, and others have been the cause of SARS, if you remember a few years back, and MERS, which is Middle East Respiratory Syndrome. What makes this different is this particular strain of the virus is new, and it was first identified in Wuhan, China back in December. Since that time, of course, we all know that the virus has spread widely around the world, and then on March 11th, the World Health Organization officially declared it as a pandemic. The United States and its territories now lead the world in confirmed cases, and according to the CDC, there are over 330,000 total cases of COVID, with, sadly, almost 9,000 deaths. It was 8,910 deaths updated today. Here in Tennessee, we have 3,802 confirmed cases that have resulted in 352 hospitalizations and, sadly, 65 fatalities. And we do have information that is county-specific, too, and as Senator Yeager mentioned, that is available on the State Department of Health website. You probably know COVID-19 is a respiratory illness that can spread from person to person. Those symptoms include fever, cough, and shortness of breath, and they can range from anywhere to very mild or no symptoms at all to very severe, requiring hospitalization or even death. Symptom onset generally begins within 2 to 14 days after an exposure. And while everyone is at risk of infection, there are certain groups of people who seem to be at high risk of developing complications related to that infection. And those tend to be older adults, folks with chronic health illnesses, those with compromised or suppressed immune systems, and pregnant women. And we know that in times like these, there's often a sense of anxiety or fear, loss of control and helplessness. But you can help take control back and help flatten the curve by following some of those simple prevention strategies that Senator Yeager mentioned. Things like staying at home unless it's just necessary to go out. Practice the social distancing, avoiding large groups, and keeping at least 6 feet of distance between you and others. Washing your hands frequently, covering your coughs and sneezes, not touching your face, your eyes, your nose, your mouth with unwashed hands. Staying at home if you're feeling sick, and avoid contact with others who may be sick. And to clean and disinfect those frequently touched surfaces often. So I know those things seem like they're small things to do, but they have huge impact in helping control the spread of COVID. So it's really important that we all do our part in following those.
All right, folks, I think we are ready to start taking our calls from our audience. If you've just joined us, we want to welcome you to this live telephone town hall. You have Senator Ken Yeager here, and his special guest for this town hall tonight is Laura Connor, who's the director of the Public Health Department. We're here talking about COVID-19 and what you can do to prepare. You can also, if you have a question, please press 0 on your keypad. Press 0 on your keypad, and you can ask a question. You can also press 7 at any time to get added to Senator Yeager's email list, so please press 7. Our first question comes from Brenda. Brenda, can you tell us where you're calling from and what your question is?
Yes, I'm calling from Harriman, Tennessee. It's in Roane County. And I have a question. My question is are we looking at in the bell curve, are we looking at our high peak yet, or do you have any clues on when we could reach the peak of this coronavirus?
I will share with you the information that I know, Brendan. That is a very good question to get us started. Thank you for asking that. I will tell you what I know. Last week I had the opportunity with other legislators to talk to the governor. And the model that they were using projected that the peak would, now this was last week when we got the information, would be the peak should occur 2 to 4 weeks. You can do the math on that. It was last week, so it's perhaps another 2 or 3 weeks, perhaps. But the important thing is 2 to 4 weeks we should reach our peak on this. It's expected. I haven't had a chance to study it, so I'm reluctant to rely on it too heavily yet, but I have seen some data as early as this morning that tells me that, that the peak may come a little sooner. But right now, what I know from the governor of Tennessee is that we should expect the peak in 2 to 4 weeks, and that's based on the modeling that they're doing.
Thank you. Next question comes from Raymond. Raymond, please tell us where you're calling from and what your question is, please.
Hi, I'm from Ray County, Tennessee, and I have a very simple question. My granddaughter is pregnant, going to have a baby soon, and we don't know where to go because the hospital was Erlanger. We're nowhere near. It was 70 miles from Erlanger, but that was the hospital she's supposed to go to. And I understand that she has a greater risk of getting the coronavirus if she goes into a hospital. So what does she do?
Laura, that sounds like a good question for you to start on.
Okay. I wouldn't say that she necessarily would have a greater risk for simply going to a hospital. She may be at a little bit greater risk of developing complications because of the pregnancy, but I think it's still really important that she get the prenatal care. That's really critically important to monitor the development of the baby and to be in contact with those providers. And if she has any specific concerns, she could certainly call her doctor, and they could help advise on what she should do.
Thank you. Next question comes from Grace. Grace, can you tell us where you're calling from, and then go ahead with your question?
Thank you. I'm Grace. I'm from Fentress County, and my question is, I heard today on the news that animals can also have this coronavirus, and that one of the zoos, forget what state, that the zookeeper to this, it was, I believe, a tiger, and he had got the coronavirus from the tiger. He has it. And I'm wondering now, and they said also it's domestic animals, and from that I'm wondering, so many things are carried by birds. Could the birds also carry?
Right. That is an excellent question, and I think that most, at least I can only speak to Tennessee, I believe that our public zoos have closed. in Tennessee. And as far as for example, your pet dog, carrying it, if you don't mind, Laura, I'll ask you to help me with that one.
Laura, are you there?
I am sorry. I did see the news story that Grace had mentioned, and I think there's more investigation being done to that. There is a lot of information available on the CDC website about the interaction with pets and all. I think there's still a lot that's unknown about that, so I would refer back to those websites.
All right, the CDC websites, and then exercise caution until we're sure. Ivan, we got another question?
Absolutely. We will take our next question from Larry. Larry, can you please tell us where you're calling from and what your question is?
Senator Yeager, I appreciate whatever you're doing, and I want you all to understand that I feel like you all are kind of in control of what happens because you are our voice. With that being said, I'm a small business owner. I'm Jamestown, Tennessee. I'm an outfitter. I offer customized horseback rides with the Big South Fork National River Recreation Area here in Fentress County, and we are definitely one of the more rurally impacted economic places in the world, in the country anyway. I know that. I'm sure you are aware of the stats on where we stand economically here. My question is a small business question. I've been in business for a little over 30 years. I don't want to quit. I've been providing horseback rides here for all those years, and I hope in my mind, we've made a great economic impact here with visitors coming in, tours staying in the local cabins, campgrounds, and outside businesses. And with that being said, I'm a real small business owner. My horses are my employees. I mean, I have three of us here, three humans, but is there going to be any kind of money available for a small business like mine? Today, we're deemed essential because we are an outdoor activity business. And based on, correct me please if I'm wrong, based on what the governor said in the state of Tennessee, I qualify as an essential business. Well,
all right. Ivan, are we ready for that answer?
Yeah, go ahead, Senator Yeager.
I'm sorry. There was a delay on my end, my fault. Larry, there is help for you. And I kind of very generally mentioned it in my opening remarks. And the first one I want to tell you about is unemployment insurance. You know, I said earlier that the Tennessee Department of Labor and Workforce was working hard to get unemployment payments into the hands of folks who had lost their job or had their hours reduced as a result of the COVID-19. That also applies in this pandemic. That also applies to self-employed, which, based on what you said, Larry, you would qualify for that. So, number one, I would certainly contact the Tennessee Department of Labor and Workforce about applying for unemployment, because not only are people who have employees who have lost their job, but folks who are self-employed may also qualify for that. And again, I would tell you about the Paycheck Protection Program, which is a federally funded program, but it's available through your local bank. You go to your local bank for the application, and they will process the application for you to receive funds that will help you make your payroll and pay your other business expenses, such as your rent or your insurance or your benefits for your employee salaries, of course. So those are two programs designed to help people in small business. And then while you're at it, I would look around at the Department of Economic and Community Development's website. You could there may be grants available, but the two things that you can get right away you can get assistance through the Department of Labor and Workforce Development, and also through your local bank, and the Small Business Administration, which these are offering these paycheck protection programs. Thank you. That was a great question.
Thanks very much, Senator Yeager. Folks, we're at our first interactive poll, our survey question. If you will please vote on your keypad when I read you the question and the responses. The question is, do you think Governor Lee has done a good job in communicating to Tennesseans about COVID-19 in our state? Press 1 if yes, press 2 if no, press 3 for somewhat. Again, do you think that Governor Lee has done a good job in communicating about the COVID-19 in our state? Press 1 for yes, press 2 for no, and press 3 for somewhat. Folks, keep voting, and we'll take our next caller, who is Troy. Troy, can you go ahead with your question, and please tell us where you're calling from?
Yes. First off, I'd like to thank my good friend Senator Yeager and Laura Connor for taking time to do this evening. And perhaps my question, Ken and Laura, has to do a little bit with the future. I'm interested in knowing what numbers will it take for the governor to see for him to back off of the no travel, I don't know what you call them, the restrictions that he's put on us. Does the health department have a certain number that's going to trigger that, Laura? I guess that's for you, but...
Well, I'm going to jump in and try to start the answer and then turn it over to Laura. But, of course, the first thing that comes to mind is one of the governor's recent executive orders where he has made it mandatory for people who are in non-essential employment to stay at home. I'm staying at home. I guess I'm non-essential, I guess. I've been at home all week and plan to stay another week or as long as we need to, as long as that order's there. And I think the reason why I mentioned that, to try to answer your question, is that the stated criteria that the governor used to make his decision to change stay-at-home from voluntary to mandatory was the data he was seeing that people were still out. The travel data, for example, that he was looking at, and would show that people, in some instances, there was very little reduction, and maybe in one instance, there was in one of the counties in my district, there may have been an actual increase in the travel. So I think what he did there was to ensure that, we don't take a step backwards. And one of the things that he's guided by is, again, the model that he uses, a computer model that he uses to consider his decisions. Which is prepared by a university for him. And it would be that baseline in that modeling that he would want to see go down, flatten the curve, so to speak, to know that we are making progress by staying at home and avoiding social contact and staying off the road. And so we want to see to flatten the curve. And as I said, they expect the peak to be 2 to 4 weeks out. So we see sometime in that period. Laura, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I would just say, I don't know that there are any hard and fast numbers. I think, we're going to have to really monitor trends. One thing that I would caution about is we don't want to, release that too soon, because these really are concrete ways that can really make a difference in helping stop the spread. So you don't want to, curtail those things too soon and then end up with a second curve. So I know everybody's anxious to get back out and to resume, their normal everyday lives. But you also don't want to do that too soon and create a secondary issue.
Well, I appreciate that question, and that's on everybody's mind. Thank you for asking it, and as I said, and any of our listeners, feel free to call my office, and we can try to provide you more information about that.
All right, Senator. We want to pass along the results of the poll that we just took, the survey. The question was, do you think that Governor Lee has done a good job in communicating about the COVID-19? And 74% on the call believe that, yes, he has done a good job. 8% believe that, no, he hasn't. And 19% somewhat agree. So there you go. And then our folks, we want to remind you that if you have a question, please press 0. We've got many good questions coming, but we'd love to get more, so please press 0 on your keypad. We're going to get to as many as we possibly can tonight, and you can see that Senator Yeager and Laura Connor are both here and have great answers and great advice, so please press 0. We'll take our next question from Eva. Eva, please tell us where you're calling from and what your question is.
I'm calling from Robbins, Tennessee in Scott County. And my question is I'm an essential worker and I work in home health as a CNA. A lot of nurses, CNAs, essential workers have been asking about hazard pay, especially being on the front lines of this pandemic. Is there a possibility of hazard pay, especially due with we're having to reuse masks whenever we're seeing patients? And sometimes we see 1 to 10 patients a day, depending on what our schedules are. And I just want to say that I respect you so much, Mr. Yeager, and hopefully this pandemic will end soon.
That's our hope and prayer too, Eva. And thank you for your service. I just want right now to give a big shout out to all of our healthcare workers who are on the front lines of this and putting themselves at risk. People like you are our national heroes. So thank you for that. It's just so important that we remember that. Your contribution when this is all over, you folks are going to be at the top of the heap as far as I'm concerned, and that is certainly a discussion that we will have to have. It is already ongoing. I think what you have asked is a legitimate question. We need to. But we're talking here about the private sector and the public sector, so those two will have to come together. And I'm hopeful that perhaps if it isn't committed or used, that maybe we can, and this would be subject to a governor's recommendation and an act of the legislature, of course, that maybe the legislature has appropriated $150 million to provide assistance to the Tennessee counties, and maybe some of that can find its way. I don't know, but the point I want to make is that I think that it is a legitimate question, and we ought to have that discussion. Did you have anything to add to that, Laura, from a medical standpoint?
Now, I know it's a question we get a lot, and unfortunately, I think, particularly for the private sector, a lot of that is dependent on each individual organization or agency. I know some are already doing that, and others aren't. So I think it does, bear some benefit of discussion.
Yeah. Thank you, Laura. Ivan?
All right. Our next question, David. David, can you please tell us where you're calling from, and then go ahead with your question.
I'm calling from Ray County, and as a parent and a teacher, I've been noticing on social media that there's articles circulating about options for what to do about the remainder of the school year. It suggests that things may be considered like summer school or extending next school year. as someone who, like I said, as a teacher and a parent, I wouldn't be in favor for either of those, and I'm wondering what is actually being considered and where that stands.
I will, first of all, let's see, David, if you'll call our office and give us some contact information, I'll engage in this conversation. There's some information that I'll just have to look up for you and try to find out. But I'm going to, first of all, thank you for your teaching. Our public school teachers are an asset. Thank you very much for doing that. And, you know, any decision that would affect the school year or trying to make up time, of course, recommendations could come from the Commissioner of Education, but many of those decisions would be made by the State Board of Education. And I've seen some of those bandied about on the social media too. I don't think that there's a recommendation there from either of those offices I just mentioned. I'm sure they've seen it too, and they may be talking about it, and I haven't seen it, but I'll be talking to the governor later this week, and in fact, I'll ask the Commissioner of Education about it. If you'll just give us a reminder, David, give me a call. There'll be somebody to answer that call tomorrow, and I will call the Commissioner of Education and ask her. And that was a good question.
Good.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Senator Yeager. Just a reminder, folks, the phone number for Senator Yeager's office, if you want to grab a pen, is 615-741-1449. Also, folks, we have operators standing by to jot down your email address to give to Senator Yeager so you can get the latest from his office. Please press 7 right now. Please press 7 on your phone. That'll just take you about a minute. And we won't sell or give email addresses to anyone else, just for Senator Yeager's use. So please press 7. We can also take more questions, too, if you want to press 0. Our next question comes from Annetta. Annetta, please tell us where you're calling from and what your question is.
Hi, I'm calling from Ray County, Tennessee. I recently opened a tax business this year, and due to not being, I guess, not essential, we have closed our office. So would I qualify to sign up for unemployment?
Yes. As a result of the federal law that was recently passed, the state of Tennessee will administer the unemployment insurance program. And one of the provisions is that if it's connected to this epidemic, self-employed person can apply for and receive unemployment. So you would need to get on their website. There are 2 ways to apply, either online or by telephone. You need to, step number 1 is to have a determination made of your eligibility. And just basing on what I'm hearing from you, you would be eligible. And then they would process your request for the weekly stipend, which I mentioned earlier, I believe was $875. So yes, self-employed people or an independent contractor who is self-employed, for that matter, could apply for unemployment, could qualify for unemployment. You could do that.
All right. Up next, we have a question. This is from Gary that he asked to be read. It said, he says, John Hopkins put out a publication of how to properly wash hands. This is supposed to be a virus. I believe that if everyone knew that, it might be better about going and washing hands. You have a response to that?
Yeah, I do, and that's a good question because, you know, we're talking about something so basic, washing your hands, and some folks might say, how can that help? That is one of the most important tools that we have to stop this virus, because this virus is spread largely through, not entirely, but largely through contact and through handshakes, for example, or a pat on the arm or a pat on the back. Wash your hands. I haven't seen the John Hopkins report, but I know I wash my hands. I've probably washed my hands today, at least 12 to 15 times. It's important that you wash your hands thoroughly with soap. And I'm not a doctor, Laura. maybe I should let you answer this. You jump in and tell me if I've misled somebody. You wash your hands with soap, or you use a wash that has been approved that would alcohol based that would kill the virus, and you wash your hands thoroughly for 20 seconds. And you need to do that regularly. I do it every time I take the garbage out. Every time I get on the computer and use the keyboard, I use it. Anytime I go open the door, touch the doorknob, any of those places where something can be transferred, where other people have used it, I do that. And of course, hey, this is a nightmare for a politician. I can't shake hands, so I've been doing a lot of fist bumps and elbow bumps instead of shaking hands. Laura, jump in there and help us.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. The CDC website and the Tennessee Department of Health websites also have very similar information. But when you think about it, 20 seconds is a lot longer than a lot of people typically wash, and you want to make sure that you're getting, in between your fingers on the backs of your hands. And so it's important to really wash thoroughly.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's and before I turn it back over to you, Ivan, for the next question, I just wanted to reiterate how important that was that we do that. And I want to thank Gary for that question. That's a very fundamental thing, but it's so very important, as is social distancing and washing your hands, for example. And you've raised a good point, Gary. We obviously haven't gotten the word out enough. It is on our website, and I'll look at that and see how we can, at least through my Facebook page, we'll start running that more for folks and my Twitter account, at least the ways I can get it out. I'll get that information out more. Thanks, Gary. Ivan, next question.
All right. Up next, we have Larry. Larry, please tell us where you're calling from and go ahead with your question.
Hello, my name's Larry. I'm calling from Robbins, Tennessee. I'm calling about the price gouging. It's not real bad in the stores. I have noticed that the prices have went up in the last couple of weeks, but the people that are buying all the excess cleaners, Lysol, masks, gloves, and then putting them on the secondary market, what's going to be done to these people? They need to be stopped, and it needs to be very harsh on them.
Hey, Larry, thanks. That's a great question. And I'm glad you asked that, because that's something that really upsets me when people for selfish reasons take advantage of a crisis like that we are currently in as a state and a nation. There is a law in Tennessee that makes it against the law to price gouge, and I'm the details of that law, but price gouging is defined by that law, and the person charged to enforce that is the Attorney General of the state of Tennessee. Now, his name is Bill Slattery. Slattery. Mr. Slattery is a very good Attorney General, and I know he is very consumer-oriented, and I'm confident is already looking into this. He has an office or a division within his office that just handles consumer complaints, like price gouging. Larry, if you'll email me or you'll call our office and just give us a little information, we'll get you in touch with somebody in the Attorney General's office that can take that complaint and run with it. We don't need that kind of activity. Tennesseans don't act that way. True Tennesseans don't act that way. Great question, Larry. Thanks.
Great advice. Our next question comes from Kathleen. Kathleen, please tell us where you're calling from and go ahead with your question.
I'm Kathleen. I'm from Fentress County. As you know, our hospital has been closed. We don't have a lot of confirmed cases, but if it was to get worse, is there any way you can force the hospital to open?
I appreciate the question, and it is certainly a good question. It stands to logic if you have a hospital facility. And I have actually been in conversations with the administrator of that hospital in the county executive in Fentress County about the building there. That hospital is owned by company whose CEO is out. It lives out of the country. I think he lives in Ireland. And I know Fentress County currently, I believe, has 2 positive cases reported. I think it would require a legal procedure to force the hospital to open, and that may be discouraging information. But it is certainly something that I would be willing to talk to your county executive about. I have no problems with that, but I would imagine it would require a legal action in that particular instance where that hospital has closed. But thank you for the question, and I wish I had a better answer, but what I've told you is a truthful answer, and I will keep my promise to talk to the county executive about this very issue that you have brought to my attention, Kathleen. You can count on that.
All right. Thanks very much. Up next is Mary. And Mary, please tell us where you're calling from and what your question is.
Okay. Me and my husband are over 65, and we have our son and grandson living here. Would it be better for them to go to the grocery store than us? We live in Fentress County.
It's of course I don't know how old your son is. You are, I believe the magic number is 70, isn't it, Laura? If you're over 70, you're more of an at-risk person. But at 65, particularly if you have any health problems, you might be at risk. And it would be my common sense answer. Sure, if your son is old enough, he ought to go, and I'm sure he'd want to go get your groceries for you. Now, I'm not sure about your community, but where I live, the store where I shop, they now have a special hour just for senior citizens to come into the store and shop. You might want to ask the person who runs the store in your community if they might want to do that. And I find it very convenient to do that. Laura, anything you want to add to that question?
Well, I would just say, the age is probably pretty fluid, and a lot of that is based on underlying health issues too. But I think that's an excellent point. Some of the other stores also have pickup or delivery where you don't actually have to go in. You can order online and they'll bring it out to you. But I think one of the main things to keep in mind anywhere you go that you have to be out, it's important to, keep your hands washed. Frequently wash your hands. Not touch your face or your eyes, nose, or mouth with unwashed hands. And, make sure that you have access to hand sanitizers if you can't get to soap and water. So just when you have to be out and about to do those things.
I appreciate that question, Mary, and I know your son will be happy to help you. But if you have or any senior citizen has a problem getting their groceries, Governor Lee has an office of the nonprofits where he has someone who coordinates the work of the different nonprofits and faith-based agencies in Tennessee. And I'm confident for you or any other senior citizen that can't get to the store to get their groceries, we could probably find somebody to help. They need to call us. But to answer your question, I think it would be perfectly fine for your son to go.
Thank you, Senator Yeager. Folks, we have another interactive polling question if you want to vote on your telephone keypad. The question is, do you approve of the mandatory stay-at-home order to help reduce the spread of COVID-19 and keep Tennesseans safe? Press 1 if yes. Press 2 if no. Again, the question is, do you approve of the mandatory stay-at-home order to help reduce the spread of COVID-19? Press 1 if yes and 2 if no. And you can also press 3 if you somewhat agree. And you can keep voting there. We'll take our next question from Adam. Adam, please tell us where you're calling from and go ahead with your question.
I live in Fentress County, and I was wondering, I heard earlier that when it warmed up that the COVID-19 would be less likely to be spread as much, be as easily spread, I guess what I'm saying. Is that true?
Laura, that question has your name written all over it.
I've also heard that same thing. I think the jury's still out on that. While we certainly hope that that's the case, I just don't think we know that for certain at the moment. So unfortunately, I don't have a great answer for that. I think we're in a wait and see mode.
And Adam, I would suggest too, if you might want to, if you want to follow up. I think I agree with Laura. You might want to follow up at the Fentress County Health Department. Give them a call. They might be able to send you a link, something to read about it. But I've heard that too, and I appreciate your answer, Laura.
Okay, up next we have Tammy. Go ahead with your question, please, Tammy.
Hi, I'm from Morgan County. I'm calling as a nurse. Also, my husband works in a hospital in Knoxville on the front line. I know how precious the N95 masks are at this point and all the PPE that is needed to care for patients in that capacity. I also know that the homemade masks are very ineffective at truly blocking or helping with the spread of corona. I know many of the different states, and more you are hearing the recommendations of wearing face masks while out in public doing necessity things such as picking up medications and going grocery shopping. When does Tennessee look like they will be in a position that maybe the health departments or other facilities, different businesses are going to be able to help get that type of safety equipment out to the general public and not just the frontline healthcare workers?
Laura, can you take a stab at that?
I will. Like you mentioned, the CDC has recently come out with a recommendation for folks to wear cloth face masks when they're out, and that primarily is because now we're seeing spread with potentially people who don't have any symptoms develop, but they're still able to, they're still contagious in spreading virus. Unfortunately, I'm not sure that we're going to get caught up to a point where we would be able to provide that to the general public. As you've mentioned, PPE is in very, very high demand right now, and it's difficult for healthcare facilities to be able to get the supplies that they need. And there are some avenues for that by contacting your local emergency management offices. They have some resources that they can send up. But for the general public, I'm not sure that we're ever going to get there. But on the CDC website, there is some guidance about how people can make their own, and that will have some filtration in that. It's not going to be the same, obviously, as an N95 or a medical grade mask, but there are some instructions on how to do that with minimal sewing on the CDC website.
That's a good tip. I didn't know that myself, and I would think any of our listeners, all you'd need to do would be to Google or CDC, and that link will pop up, and you can find that instruction on how to do that. And that is a really good question, Tammy. And I don't know if you heard me earlier when I was talking to one of our healthcare workers. I really appreciate what you and your husband both are doing. As you alluded to, y'all are on the front line, and we are very grateful for your willingness to do this and very appreciative. Ivan?
Great. I just want to share the results from our last survey question about do you approve of the mandatory stay-at-home order? And 86% of folks who voted believe that yes, they do agree, and 6% do not agree, while 8% somewhat approve of it. So there's some numbers there. Our next question comes from Kathleen. Kathleen, please tell us where you're calling from and what your question is.
Hi, this is Kathleen calling from Byrdstown, Tennessee. And,
Pickett County.
Yeah, Pickett County. I'm down here by Del Hollow Lake, And I know you said if you need to get out, do stuff like fishing or something like that. But I did drive down to the lake the other day, and it looked like summer vacation there. There was so many boats and people walking around, and I even saw people coming out of the cabins. One guy came out coughing his head off. And right now we don't have any cases, as far as I know, of the corona in Byrdstown. Concerned about people going out and thinking that it's okay because they're outside, they're distancing, but they're really not. So I'm wondering if they're going to do anything about that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Kathleen. And I'll try my best to answer it. I'm not sure I quite understood all of it, but I'm going to try. Campgrounds are one of the exceptions to the mandatory mandatory rule to stay at home, and I've had people from other counties where tourism is very important. In fact, you're the third county that's talked to me about this, and I've taken this concern to the governor's office, and I know they've listened to me intently about it. And I hope we'll have a continued discussion on it, because you've raised a really legitimate point there, a concern that needs to be discussed. And the only specific thing I can give you is that I will once again raise the issue. And thank you very much for reminding us of that.
Okay, thank you. Up next is Jeff. Jeff, go ahead with your question. Please tell us where you're calling from.
I'm calling from Campbell County. And my question is, have you checked into the stockpiles of hydroxychloroquine, and are the shipments of this drug that has anecdotal evidence of being very beneficial to those people that have COVID-19? Are you aware of the remdesivir and ectamrin and Camostat? These medicines have been in the news and online, and reputable sources have mentioned it. Several doctors, a doctor named Stephen Smith, he's a doctor out of New Jersey. He has 70 patients. 68 of them have not had to go, or I guess none of them have had to go on ventilators. Which, are you aware of it? And can you tell me about the stockpile of hydroxychloroquine in the state?
I am. Thank you very much, Jeff. It's good to hear from you, and I appreciate the question. There has been some talk and certainly some chatter on the social media about it. I'm aware of most of the drugs names that you have mentioned. I have not checked into whether it has been stockpiled in Tennessee, but I can assure you that the Unified Command that Governor Lee appointed a few weeks ago to coordinate our response to the COVID-19, I'm confident that they have looked at that. As I may have mentioned in my opening remarks, the Unified Command is the coordinating team, and one of the members is the Commissioner of the Department of Health, and I'm sure they've looked at that. The key word for me, to give you a candid as I can be answer, is antidotal. The word you use is antidotal, because a lot of the information I'm seeing online is all anecdotal. There's not really any data-driven information to support that theory that these medicines may work. I'm going to ask Laura to step in here and join me on this answer, but that would be my answer to you, Jeff. And I appreciate your asking, because that's on a lot of people's minds, and so your asking the question has given us a chance to discuss it. Laura, do you have a comment on that?
I think you're exactly right. A lot of it has been very anecdotal evidence with very small groups involved, and I think some of those have had some mixed results. I do think that they're working on researching for a lot of things, but a lot of those medications that you mentioned are not without some issues of their own. They really need to be given under very monitored situations because they can have some very, very nasty side effects. And we've heard stories about people wanting to, personally stockpile those themselves to have on hand just in case. But we really, really strongly advise against that just because, those medications can cause some other issues. But I do think certainly it's worth a continued research and investigation into it.
All right. Thank you very much. We are unfortunately at our allotted time. Senator Yeager, we'll turn it over to you to give us some final remarks and bring us to the end of the call.
Thank you very much, Ivan. And to those of you who are patiently waiting in line, but we've run out of time, I would encourage you to call our office, 615-741-1449, and leave your question. We'll try to get it answered. And we have someone there during the day who can answer it. If you do it tonight while it's on your mind, it'll be picked up by an answering machine, and we'll listen to it tomorrow. Please do that, because if you have a question, we want to try to answer it. And thank you. Thank you for participating today. I was making notes as we talked, and I believe I've had callers from all 7 of my counties. I always say I represent 7 of the finest counties in East Tennessee and the Upper Cumberland. And your concern, which has been evidenced by your questions, demonstrate that. And the one thing 2 points I'd want to close out with. Number one, this is a very serious matter. Very serious matter. We need to take it very seriously. And the things that we've learned today from this, I hope that you'll take advantage of it, both from a public health standpoint and from an economic standpoint. We are there to help you if you need our help as you pursue any of these goals. And the final thing I want to say to you is that it is a very severe matter. Let's not panic. There's no need to panic. And, I want to end on the quotation from President Franklin Roosevelt, who served this nation during a time of crisis, the crisis of the Great Depression of the 1930s, which probably our grandparents and great-grandparents had to endure. And he said in 1933 that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. We're not going to let this epidemic, which is a very serious epidemic, tie us in knots. We're Tennesseans. We're stronger than that. And let's remember the words of Franklin Roosevelt. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. So thank you for joining us, and God bless each one of you.
You tell us, and we'll tell everybody else on the Terry's Pharmacy Bulletin Board.
My husband lost his billfold, Frank Collinsworth Jr., and it probably could have been at Big O's or down at the Big Creek Market. We would love to have it back with his important papers and stuff in it, and there is a reward for the return of it, and the number to call is 562-6090. 562-6090. Sure appreciate it.
Get your pen and paper. We have a telephone number to pass along. In response to the national health emergency of COVID-19, the coronavirus, the Tennessee Department of Health has established an information line. The phone line, 865-549-5343, is open to area health providers as well as residents of Tennessee. The phone line is open Monday through Fridays, 8 a.m. until 4:30 p.m. It is an information line, not a medical resource. And the number again, 865-549-5343. 865-549-5343.
My name is Terry, and due to the coronavirus pandemic, Open Arms Food Pantry is having a substantial increase of clients. And with this being said, we are asking for monetary gifts and food donations. Our address is 1112 McGee Lane, Jacksboro, Tennessee, P.O. Box 433, and our telephone number is 423-566-6723, 566-6723. God bless us all.
Faithway Assembly of God needs the community's help. The flood on June 7th took everything from the church. Faced with no flood insurance, the congregation is appealing for help. Hoping to rebuild, the church has established a GoFundMe page and is accepting donations. To donate, visit www.gofundme.com/Faithway or mail a donation to Faithway Assembly of God, Post Office Box 1602, La Follette, Tennessee 37766.
Folks, this is your mayor, Mike Stanfield. I would like to thank you for shopping here in La Follette and Campbell County. With the bridge project going on, I want to remind you that the businesses along the repair route are open and ready to serve you. Now, you might have to park in the back of the businesses or around the corner, but please continue to support them like you always have. Keep in mind, when you shop in La Follette and Campbell County, it helps all of us. Thank you, your mayor, Mike Stanfield.
This is a Lost Dog radio station.
Good morning. I've got a lost dog in the Long Hollow, Camp Ridge area. He's a pit bull. He's brown and white. He's got white toes, and he's got a little pink spot on his nose. He's anxious to bow. If anybody's found him, please call 423-201-9677. 201-9677.
You tell us, and we'll tell everybody else on the Terry's Pharmacy Bulletin Board.
FM 100.9 WLAF.
1450 WLAF weather for all of beautiful Campbell County. Tonight we're looking at partly cloudy skies with a low around 55. Tuesday brings a slight chance of afternoon showers and thunderstorms, otherwise partly sunny with a high near 79. Tuesday night, also a slight chance of showers and storms, mostly cloudy with a low around 60. Aaron Hopkins with your 1450 WLAF weather report.
Your home for now is WLAF. Listen for breaking news, weather, traffic, and sports right here.
This is 1450 WLAF and FM translator W265BQ, La Follette, Tennessee, USA, where it's now time for CBS Radio News, a presentation of the Pierce Furniture Gallery.
Downtown La Follette between light 8 and 9.
CBS News update, saying being admitted to intensive care is very serious. President Trump is expressing concern for British Prime Minister Boris Johnson, who was diagnosed with the coronavirus 11 days ago.
Americans are all praying for his recovery. He's been a really good friend. He's been really something very special, strong, resolute, doesn't quit, doesn't give up.
Governor Andrew Cuomo says there are some hopeful signs about the virus in hard-hit New York.
Total number of hospitalizations are down, the ICU admissions are down, and the daily intubations are down.
But he is extending the state's shutdown order and increasing penalties on people who do not comply. The Wisconsin Supreme Court ruled Governor Tony Evers did not have the authority to delay tomorrow's primary until June. He tried to postpone in-person voting amid growing fears about the coronavirus. CBS News Update, I'm Pam Coulter.
Depend on News Radio, 1450 WLAF. If Mayberry had a radio station, yep, WLAF.
Listen, can't you hear it coming? Prophecies are being fulfilled. Look at how the world is changing. It's like a dream, only it's real. Soon the battle will be over. We'll sing the victory song. Every day we're getting closer. Oh, child, keep pressing on. We're almost home. exist. Wrong is right and right is wrong. And people trying to deceive us. Can't you see it won't